What's more impactful on a man? Being single and lonely or being married and lonely?
I would say being single and lonely, and the reason why, if even if you're married, you at least have somebody there who you can at least probably get some type of empathy from. Hopefully, she's a good enough person that you can have that conversation with. But if you single and lonely, I mean, who do you have? It might be something you're going through. You might be so embarrassed about it, you don't even want to tell your goddamn friends because it's too embarrassing to even share with them. Or you might not have nobody at all. So now you just suffer in silence, trying to deal with it by yourself. And that's not a good feeling to try to deal with some issues, whatever they are, whether it's financial, emotional, or mental issues by yourself. So I would think being single and being lonely probably be more
You
impactful.
are assuming that man doesn't have infrastructure around. He doesn't have friends. He doesn't go to jiu-jitsu practice. He doesn't have a basketball team. This is what you're assuming. You're assuming that the single man is literally lonely by himself. Like you can do a situation. Absolutely not, because you can be lonely. You can be lonely surrounded by people. That's what I'm telling you. You guys, let me just finish, please. What Ink said to me is freedom. Isn't it so nice to come home, open the door, and there's silence and peace after a long day? Like what they describe as something that is scary. Woo! It's freedom. Oh shit! I have to come home, and this is all mine, and I don't have to actually be with them. How many times, Ink, did you got to your house and you sat on your car for 45 minutes looking at the motherfucking steering wheel because you didn't want to go inside? Motherfuckers, I know y'all. I see y'all. You park the car on the driveway and you stay there for 30 minutes. Oh, god damn it. I have to go inside to deal with that motherfucking woman. So, who is lonelier?
I want to jump.
Who is lonelier?
Hold on real quick. Let
me respond to what he said. So if you didn't hear what I said, I sit there and said you may be embarrassed by whatever you're depressed or going through. So embarrassed you can't even tell your friends. I didn't say you didn't have no friends to go to. Yes, you may have friends, but the situation you're dealing with may be too embarrassing for you to have that conversation with your friends. So then what do you do?
And no, you are right. If I'm embarrassed, I'll die by a cat and die alone, whatever the saying is, right? But you know what's funny, Ink? Did you notice that the situation that actually put you there was you losing your woman?
No, what we're noticing
did you notice that when you told the story, the situation that put you there on a scary place where was you literally losing a woman?
Aaron, I got a question for you.
Hold on real quick, Terrence. I'm sorry, and you got it, I swear. But I think here's the thing, to Fatty and to Hink point, I think both of y'all are speaking from hindsight. Especially Hink. He's speaking from hindsight.
He's speaking for himself. I'm speaking in general.
Well, it may be, but it still can be from hindsight. Let me explain. Hindsight is, come on, Will. Come on, let's not over talk each other. What I'm saying is this. Is you experience something and now you have the understanding and the knowledge of it, right? So I'm saying Hink, what he said was absolutely 100% true. But the problem is do most men have that understanding? Because that's what you have to understand. They going into this situation when they say, I choose her, especially under the guise of putting a ring, proposing, marriage, and all of that, they're choosing forever. So this probably be the first time that they ever made the decision in their life, Hink. So they don't have that understanding that you have, right? That it's better to go through the experience that you talked about than to not. But that's what I'm saying. If my first time going in, I'm going in kind of blind and not necessarily knowing that it's better for me to at least have you here in this position, have the kids here, have these responsibilities, than to absolutely be 100% alone. I might not have the understanding that he has in this moment, who has had both experiences, being with someone and being alone. You understand what I'm saying?
It wouldn't go against, no married man is going to say, yeah, I felt better when I was single. Say it. Any of y'all can say it. Any of y'all can say it on camera. I feel better when I didn't have this woman next to me because I could do whatever the fuck I want. Say it out loud.
Absolutely not.
You have any control.
Say it out loud. I want to hear it.
Well, let me get Terrence in, and then we can answer that. Go ahead, Terrence.
Aaron,
a
I
good
really
point,
just want to
Freddie.
get confirmation and understanding with what you were saying, because it sounded like you was describing nature versus nurture, right? Whereas it's like each individual has to gain an understanding from their own experience, right? And so when we come on the panels and we talk about certain things, it's more so, you know, don't solely and only take what somebody's saying as in totality, but apply your own experience to it and apply that to your life as necessary. Is that
yes?
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. And then the second part is going into Beans's point where he was talking about, you know, I took some notes.
Mhm.
You
And
talk about problem feeling?
Yeah, it's going into neuroplasticity. And what I found is
good.
When we continue to relive certain experiences and speak out those certain experiences, it continues to rebuild those neural synapses in our brain. So then that circular ambulation, that circular ambulation continues to happen where we dive deeper into that, what could be depression. It may or may not be depression, but dives deeper into that point.
Yeah.
And then furthering down the conversation, talking about sacrifice, I think it's extremely dangerous to sacrifice anything in any relationship, no matter what the relationship is. And I say that because sacrifice is the act of giving that we don't want to give with the expectation we're going to get something in return, right?
Mhm.
And I think that could be a primary cause of feeling lonely in a relationship, because if we feel like we're giving one of the primary, not the totality, if we're continuing to give of ourselves, right, we're emptying our cup, but we're not feeling like we're getting anything back in return, right? So then when we don't get something back in return, then it's like, damn, I'm here doing all of this, but I'm really by myself.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying? And I think that leads towards the that depression, and that's personal experience. That's personal experience. One more point. What's more impactful, being in a relationship feeling lonely versus not being in a relationship and feeling lonely? The question there, I think, is more so an internal reflection, and I think it deserves insight from self, because we're in a relationship feeling lonely, surrounded by loved ones, whether it be our wife, whether it be our kids, but we still feel lonely. And the question is why? You know what I'm saying? Did we jump into the relationship with a void, and that other person that's there is there to fill that void, rather than coming into the relationship whole? Hey, I don't need you, right? But I do like you, and the bond we share, we could build towards whatever goal or mission that is, with the understanding that, you know, somebody could be there for a day, for a season, or for a lifetime. Therefore, and here goes that managing the expectation piece, but managing the expectation for self, right? So then if it comes to an absolute end, not saying we're moving towards it being an end, but having that expectation for self, it could come to an end. God forbid it be a death, right? A divorce, or whatever it may be, to help minimize that feeling of loss.
But Terrence, man, you just
hold on, I'm lost. So
great point.
Which one is it, Terrence? What
What do you mean?
It that you think that somebody is worse being lonely in a marriage or by yourself?
I think it's bad regardless. I don't even think those two questions really correlate, because people off themselves by feeling lonely. They feel like there's no value in.
My bad. I'm just saying.
I'm not choosing one, because I can't put myself into that bucket.
I got you.
You see what I'm saying? So,
but so Terrence, let me ask you this question then, since you won't choose, right? Let me ask you this question. Do you think that it's better to have loved and lost than to have never loved at all?
I think that depends on what you define by love. I don't look at love as, you know, I'm in this relationship with a woman, oh, I love her. No. The same way I love anybody on this panel or any other person walking this earth is the same exact way I love myself. the bond is what's different, right? The way that we bond is different. You know what I'm saying? For example, I could see and I feel the pains that you were describing, right?
Mm-hmm.
I also know that there's a transcendent side of you that creates and bring things into this world. That's the Most High that flows through all of us.
Right.
Absolutely. I love that a part of everybody on this panel, no matter what you do in this world, right? The boundaries come in place when we start talking about, am I going to bond with you, right?
Mm-hmm.
Are we going to work towards doing whatever it may be, in which case we build a bond, but the love doesn't change. So
But,
I think
but even if it, what if we strictly put it to whatever you think love is, right? Because what I'm trying to ascertain specifically for the audience is this: as men, right? Because
come on.
I love you, but
wait, B, hold on. All right, Terrence. So, but it also lacks participation though, because you're using abstract ideals, right? That you comprise from your thoughts and then readings and then applying them, but we trying to get understanding. So I understand. I'm getting the gist of what you're saying. You know.
So for example,
well, let's go back to the
okay.
You got two men, right? They're both lonely, right? Is loneliness only self? Is it only based on how you feel about yourself, what's going on about what you got going on, or do any outward or external factors apply to how lonely you are or not?
I think it's a combination of the two.
Okay.
Right?
So now external factors play a part, right? So what percentage do external factors play a part?
That I'm not sure, right? I don't know. I have no idea. But what I can say, what I can say is if somebody doesn't have like a social like a social network, group of some sort, if they don't have a purpose of some sort, right? If they don't have family, if they don't have friends, so on and so forth, then that's on the extreme. Like,
okay,
now
so
we're
now
depressed,
that's a great point.
So now a man with a family, right? He's married. He has a family. A man that seemingly is single. You would assume people have a level of network, but nothing you could put your finger on, right? Who would you say in these two constructs, if they're both lonely? So that's the constant. They're both lonely,
right?
Which man is more impacted if that be the case?
It depends, because there's still an internal factor, right?
Indeed.
So I don't want to say,
you can't weigh the internal factor, right?
Well, the reason why I don't want to put a which man is more is because I feel like it could build in an excuse, right? And not to say for either in either.
It's a hypothetical man, though, Terrence. You see what I'm saying?
Exactly. But, so we're looking at hypothetical questions is a reality for different individuals.
But see, here's the thing: when you offer what you're offering, right? It has value, but we have to make it tangible for people, right? So they can see it. So now you have the construct, which we understand. You can't qualify the intrinsic percentage, but the external factors, you can see them, and somehow he's still lonely. Which man is more impacted if that be the case? When I look at it as that, I'm thinking a married man is more impacted because you have the construct of family, right? One of those external factors that holds a lot of weight, and you still lonely. I'm thinking that man is hurting worse.
Absolutely.
So what you think?
It's a possibility. I don't know. I felt lonely with a house full of kids and with a wife, with a girlfriend, whatever. And I've also felt lonely being by myself. You see what I'm saying? And I can't say that I put more weight on one. No, I hear you. I can't say that I put weight on one more than the other.
Who would you?
I got a question for you.
This is a quick one. This is a quick one.
Get us there.
Okay. Well, this one, I got this one being, you could jump in. You had both these constructs, right? You know these two people. Who you more worried about? And I know you worry about everybody. That's not the point. But who you more worried about out of those two men? The man that got a family, house, kids, he lonely. The man who's single, whatever, he lonely. Who you more worried about?
Shit, low key. If it's a man with a family, I'm worried about him and the family.
No, 100%.
If it's just him, I'm worried about him. You know what I'm
So
saying?
but you got both of these guys, right?
I can't.
Because we got to understand the ideology. So you're good at telling us what the ideology is, but then when we try to apply it, we can't. You see how then it becomes moot if we can't apply the ideology.
I mean,
that's why I think the question I got is.
So Terrence, go ahead. Go ahead, B.
Terrence, check this out. Because you've been in both situations, and I'm not glad that you went through that. Misery loves company, right? But because of that, you can say without a shadow of a doubt which one was more impactful to you, when you were alone or when you with a family and everything.
It didn't. I don't have an answer for that. I don't have an answer for that.
Well, wait. Let me ask you this.
I can apply more of like a grievance, right, to being by myself and recapping and healing and going through that process or whatever while I'm by myself, but feeling lonely with the family there. That's something. It's something different entirely.
No, I get that. Believe me, because I went through it too. But that's what I'm saying. Think about it from this perspective, right? When you were alone, was that by choice?
Yeah.
Well, I think in both situations it's by choice because there's an internal.
No. I'm just saying for just follow me for 1 second. When you were alone,
it sounds like I'm pandering, but
no, Terrence, he said alone.
When you were alone, was that by choice, right?
Alone, not lonely, alone.
Yeah, when you not lonely, alone. That was by choice, right?
Yeah.
You see what I'm saying? So this is, to me, I think, even though this isn't answering the question for you, which I think is what Hemp wants you to do, but the fact of the matter is that we choose in these situations to be alone. Guys like myself and like yourself, who we can just say, like, I don't have to pause or no homo or none of that. We are attractive guys. We don't have to be alone. So when we are alone, we're choosing to be alone. Right. So therefore, the impact of being alone is not going to be the same as, damn, I'm coming home to a woman and I'm still alone. I'm coming home to kids and I'm still alone. I got bills, all this other stuff going on, and I still feel lonely with all of this. You see what I'm saying?
But here we're compartmentalizing. We're compartmentalizing solitude and being lonely.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? And there's a difference between the two. You can have solitude within self, being with a family.
We are talking about the lonely part. That's the point.
Let him explain it. I think he's getting there. Go ahead.
It's consolidating the two.
But Terrence, the premise of the conversation, and he used your anecdotal example where you admitted to being lonely in both situations. Therefore, you can't now apply solitude. That doesn't make sense because he was using what you gave us, and that's what he built the construct upon. You added solitude just now, but you said you were lonely in both situations. That's what we're addressing. But I think that you think. I know, but the context came later. You see what I'm saying? But it was almost like you said. Well, you talking about solitude and lonely, two different things. But you said you were lonely in both. So, so I think he was still on par. I think
he's saying it without saying it. Think about it, because the solitude was by choice.
By choice.
Exactly.
You see what I'm saying? So that means he's agreeing that it's more detrimental when you're in a situation with a woman and kids and all stuff still going on, because in this other situation, you're essentially choosing for it to be that way.
Yeah, and being to that point.
No.
The impact,
you don't think so? Okay, now we got an argument. Go ahead.
No, absolutely not. And I say no because that feeling of loneliness, whether you're alone or with a family, is self-inflicted, so to speak. In one situation, right, with the kids and with the family being there, now we're projecting our loneliness onto them, identifying them as the problem.
Solitude is an action, loneliness is a feeling. You can't control the feeling.
There's a victim circle that could develop from that.
Okay.
No.
You guys are not having a conversation about the same thing. Solitude is an action, loneliness is a feeling. You don't choose to be lonely. That's the point. Like, you are discussing two different things. You don't choose to be lonely. You feel lonely. Solitude is an action. You choose either to be with a family or to be alone.
And Fatty, that's why we're rejecting solitude. Because we
let's talk about loneliness.
Yes,
let's put the loneliness there. That's not about the solitude. Just before Aaron goes, because he's with the finger. Sorry, Aaron. The difference between both is simple to understand. When you are lonely and you are single, it's like a desktop computer. You can open that shit. Let me upgrade the RAM and see if I feel better. Let me go upgrade this. Let me upgrade that. You can always get a dog, get a girlfriend, go to basketball. You can always try to improve to see what is wrong with the computer. When you're married, you're maxed out. That motherfucker is a Mac. You want better, you buy a new one. You can do more. That's what the computer was made for. You can just upgrade that shit. So you are maxed out. That's why it's even worse for a man to feel lonely in a relationship, because you're maxed out. You have to buy a new one.
Yeah, I agree. I think
What
it's
is
crazy. That's a
so
good
what's the byproduct of solitude?
Not feeling
Loneliness.
appreciated, not feeling valued, not having goals. There's a bunch of circumstances.
Let's give him what he's searching for is loneliness.
What's the byproduct of solitude?
It's loneliness.
Voluntary solitude or involuntary?
Oh, sorry, you said solitude. I take all.
Yeah, it's loneliness.
Is it voluntary though?
That's the point.
Having solitude is voluntary. Involuntary is lonely.
Yes.
Right. So
but you can put someone in solitude against their will, correct?
Technically,
true, but he's talking about voluntary. So even if the byproduct of that is still going to be loneliness, regardless.
And you know what's funny? And you know what's funny, Aaron?
So solitude is enjoying, right? You have self-reflection. You have all these different internal points to build upon, breaking that loneliness, right? That's what solitude is. It is.
Wait, stop. Hold on one second. Right now, wait. Hold on, real quick.
God.
I'm sorry. Hold on, real quick. Because right now, what you just suggested is that somehow a person is going into solitude to combat loneliness.
Yeah, but that was. So look at this, right?
I'm not
this
sure.
Is not.
That's a good point.
These things are not. It doesn't actually coincide, right? That's why Jay Miller question is so valid. If you're choosing it. The state or situation of being alone, right? Mm-hmm. She savored a few hours of freedom and solitude. They use these sentences to help clarify, right?
Right, absolutely.
And it says loneliness is a synonym, right? Mm-hmm. But are similar, right? But look at loneliness. This is not a byproduct, because look how this one is described. That's not that's not it.
Mm-hmm.
Right? To the point of this whole feeling, and right, this looks like it's more uncontrollable.
So my question here is, when you have solitude, when you're in a feeling of wholeness, right, and you're by yourself, what is that?
There can be solitude too.
Okay, so then if we're applying the emotion or the feelings behind it, then we can also associate it with loneliness, byproducts of one another. That's what I'm referring to.
What does that mean?
You did some time before, didn't you?
Well, what does that mean? What does
that mean? Man, I do a lot of internal reflection. That's really what it is.
In the pen, niggas will say, here's an example.
Right, exactly.
Yeah, at least in there, they'll tell you like this how you apply this.
Absolutely.
Yeah, so this that's the difference. And I just don't see the application of the minding it out. Like, how do we then apply it, right? And now we are I think it's conflation with solitude and lonely, to be honest.
Mm-hmm. So when I think of solitude, right, I live here by myself. I don't got the kids no more, no woman that's living with me, don't got to take care of nobody but myself, right? There was a point where I was going through a grievance, right, where I was lonely, where I felt like, damn, don't nobody love me, right? Boo-hoo. Playing the victim, all of that good stuff.
Sure.
But in the same sense, I am who I look in the mirror, you know what I'm saying? Do whatever, do all of that. And then you reach a sense of solitude. And that sense of solitude has a positive connotation rather than lonely. And that positive connotation is associated with a healthy frame of mind rather than lonely, which is not.
Yeah, so there's a saying in my country that says loneliness is when you look yourself in the mirror and you don't feel like you're in good company, right? And a lot of times this is what happened. Like, it's even this conversation. Like, if you are in a good marriage, you're probably way better than if you are single. The problem is that most of these men are not in a good marriage. They actually feel recluse. It's like going to jail. If I go to jail in Sweden, I have a PlayStation 4, I have my phone, I have some good accommodations. It's like I'm on vacation. I'm away, but I'm away anyway. But if I go to jail in Brazil, in Carandiru, now is like same situations, same people are on a state of isolation, but the type of cage that you are in is going to change your perspective. I think a lot of times when we look at the situation, once again, when you are in solitude, you can actually rationalize the shit better because it was an option.
Right.
Nobody opts into a marriage to be alone or to feel alone.
Right.
That shit is backwards. That shit actually breaks your motherfucking heart because I should be accomplished. Look at these kids, look at this house, look at this family. I should feel something positive. If those responsibilities come with something negative, that will be way more impacting in your life than for you being by yourself and you thinking, oh shit.
And let me hold on real quick, Terry. Let me give you an example of something, right? I want to give
we got to answer
I want to give you an
Patty
example of
asked
something
earlier,
that
too.
doesn't demonize women, right? Hamp, you know about
Football.
when a woman has to have the hysterectomies, right?
Yeah.
Bro, talk about feeling alone, right? The thing that a woman goes through when she has to go through this process, fibroids and all this other different stuff, and they have to give up their ability to have children. The loneliness that you will feel in that relationship at that point is, I can't even describe it to you. All I'm saying is put your seatbelt on, strap in, right? And so in this moment, what I'm saying is yeah, it's gonna be bad. It's gonna be bad. You're gonna question it, like, man, I'm in this relationship with this and that. Woo, I'm supposed to be here for this woman. Why isn't she latching on to me and using me as her her method to think past or overcome what she's going through? But they just you're taking something away from them. They're going through their own thing. And for me, that process lasted about 7 to 8 months. And I felt super lonely.
It's like
right.
Yeah.
It was nothing exactly. It was nothing I could say to change it. Nothing I could do. There was no amount of money I could spend. There was no amount of ass I could eat. There was
because you were on drugs.
Nothing I could do. Say it again, Patty.
Because you were on drugs. When you get off a drug, what happens? When you're alcoholic and you get like you become dependent on somebody. So
all right, let me
go ahead, Aaron.
Wait. Hold on. I'm gonna let you finish, Fat. But what I'm saying is
no. Aaron can guide it because Aaron be talking. Sorry, Aaron.
No, it's okay. What I'm saying is specifically is this: is that in that moment, for those months, believe me, I felt extra lonely. But at the end of the day, right now, the loneliness that I feel is self-imposed. And because it's self-imposed, it does not affect me in the same way that I was affected feeling lonely while my woman, my ex, was going through that transition.
Because love is a drug. Podcast. Love is a drug. Love can get you drunk. Love can get you killed. Love is a drug. When you remove yourself from love, you are going to go through withdrawals. You are going to actually be in pain. That's what love is. Everybody in this panel went through that.
We are fucking with the words, man.
That's a good point.
Are you sure you felt lonely?
Hell yeah.
Did you wait? Did you feel helpless?
No, I felt lonely because here's the thing. I watched her. I'm gonna explain to you why real quick. I promise 30 seconds or less. I watched her still get up and go to work every day. I watched her still be a mother, still be a sister, an employee, a sibling, like everything else she still did. But for some reason, I got ostracized, right? Because I am a component of the thing that she lost the capability of doing, which is bearing children. So hell yeah, I felt lonely because I had to watch her still be everything else, mother, employee, and it. But for me, she distanced herself from me, didn't want to touch, talk, nothing with me. So yeah,
okay. So all right, so that I can see is feeling lonely. Now here's the thing: when we say the difference between solitude and not being in solitude, that's not the difference between single and marriage. The person that is feeling lonely in a state of solitude does not have the option of going out and seeking the presence of another human being because that changes their state from being in solitude to being in company. To be in solitude means your ass is the only human being that you can perceive in the immediate area. That's it. And if you're lonely with
that, we said it was by choice, though, Aaron.
Wait. If you're lonely with solitude, because it said lonely is a sadness,
right,
from not feeling like you're in company of friends, or you know what I mean, like there's nothing familiar. So it's a sadness. Now, here's the thing: if you're lonely in your mind, you don't have a friend. If you're lonely in solitude, you can't even look around and identify a person that could be a friend. You get hopeless. But if you're lonely in the presence of company, especially marriage or a friendship relationship, you can still feel like you don't have a friend, but you can see a human being and cling to the hope.
So what's the name of that feeling?
Your condition around.
So what's the name of that feeling, Aaron?
When you're,
So what's the name of their feeling? Since we can apply that, because none of us is among.
Is the same. I'm saying which one's more detrimental. The hopelessness from having to combine solitude with loneliness is what's more deadly than the potential hope of having loneliness with company. And the second thing I want people to realize is, Terrence, when did you serve?
08 to 12.
What did you do?
In the military?
Yeah.
Admin guy.
Okay. So here's the thing. The one, I don't know if anybody has ever done this. I have. You got to come to grips with your mortality. And that's the one thing that is not optional. The way we have choices and options about relationships and solitude and what we think we can change, we all one day will face our mortality. And facing your mortality in solitude and facing your mortality in company, feeling lonely or not, you'll see, trust me,